Okay, we are back. I'm very happy to bring back to the Goldstein on Gelt show Professor Dan Shechtman. Last time we spoke when he won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his work in quasi-crystals. And today, Dan, I'm very happy to have you to discuss what is motivating you to run to be the President of Israel.
Yes, that's a very good question. It didn't come from me. People started to talk to me and say, hey, Danny, why don't you run for the president? You are just the right person for the job. And I said, no. And then the pressure grew. And then a good friend of mine from high school called and said, Danny, you should do that for the sake of Israel, for the people of Israel. And I will be with you. I will be working with you. I'll help you all the way through. And I said, okay, you know what? Let's do it. And this is how it happened. And then we contacted Ayala Hassan from Arutz Achat, which is the first channel in Israel. It's a public channel. Ayala Hassan is a distinguished television figure in Israel. And we gave her the details. She came and interviewed me, and this was the announcement.
Okay, so going from the world of science to the world of politics is in fact a big step. Isn't it more normal, would you say, to have a politician or maybe even an ex-military man as the president?
I don't think so. I think that the president of Israel should be a uniting figure. First of all, somebody who will look to unite the people of Israel. And a politician, by definition, is inclined. He's a member of a party, and therefore he represents the people that voted for that party. And that's not a good idea, in my opinion. Many people contact us now via the electronic media and say, we want a non-political president. And I think that they are right. We need somebody who is not inclined and not a member of one party. That's about it. Ex-military man? Why do you want a military man to represent Israel in the world? Are we a military dictatorship? No, I don't think so. We are a civilian society, and yes, we have a military to protect us. But I don't think that a military man should represent us as president. No, I think that we need a civilian, a non-political figure, and I'm one.
Okay. Not only are you a civilian and a non-political figure, but you do have a Nobel Prize winning background in science. If and when you become president, how do you see yourself using your background to help promote Israeli business and technology in particular?
Right. So I can tell you that over the past 2 years or so, since the Nobel Prize, I have been traveling extensively around the world, and on the average, I give 100 talks every year. That's a lot.
Wow.
And it's around the world, running, flying from country to country. And I meet large audience in large auditoria. I meet decision makers around the world. I meet presidents around the world. And I portray a different Israel. I am telling them, forget about what you hear in the media. That's not Israel. Look at me. Israel is culture. Israel is a democracy. Israel is science. Israel is a technological entrepreneurial country. We are leading in that. Israel is a wonderful health system for everybody. Look at the people of Israel. They came from impoverished countries. They came from countries with almost no medical care to talk about, and they live longer now in Israel than people live in the rest of the world. So we are doing something good, and Israel is a thriving democracy. And so this is it. I represent Israel, the democratic, the enlightened, the scientific country. Now, as for your question, as you may know, I have been teaching at the Technion a class named Technological Entrepreneurship, and I have been doing that for 27 years now. I am one of the forefathers of technological entrepreneurship in Israel. When I started teaching entrepreneurship, nobody talked about it. And by now, and I teach it at the Technion, which is the university that I'm a member of. And over these years, Israel became a startup nation. I have something to do with it. And I know high tech. I know how it works. And I think that I can proudly represent the high tech people of Israel around the world and therefore represent what they make. And what they make is amazing, amazing.
And it's certainly something that you have been doing for a long time. We're speaking with Professor Dan Shechtman from the Technion, Nobel Prize winner in chemistry in 2011, and now he's running to be president of Israel. Danny, let's go into a little bit more of the political side that the president has to deal with. For example, one of the issues that a lot of people say is that Israel is not so good at hasbara, at telling the story of Israel. Not only that, we're facing some very, very strong opposition, not the least of which is what they call BDS, boycott, divest, sanctions. How do you see yourself dealing with that?
Right. Well, of all the candidates, I think I can do the best job, definitely can do the best job, because I've been doing it. It's not that I'm dreaming about it. I have been doing it for the last 2 years. As I said, I travel around the world, far and wide. And I talk to people, I talk to students, I talk to decision makers, I talk to teachers, I talk in universities. And I can tell you that not once did I meet the boycott that you read about in the media. Not once.
Why do you think that is? Why do you suspect that is?
Maybe it's not as widespread as it is portrayed in the media. Maybe it is a very rare and scattered occasion. We just heard the Prime Minister of England yesterday. I was in the Weizmann Institute, and he was not there, but he sent a clip, and he said that we are against boycott. His representative at the meeting was very vehemently against boycott, and he said the government of England will not allow that. And England is one of the places that you hear about that they have a boycott. Mm-hmm. Personally, I have never met anything like this. It's apparently rare. And apparently it's the media that makes it a big event, but apparently it's not.
That's interesting. That explains why maybe the story gets a lot of traction in the news, but it does not really seem to be affecting major scientists like yourself. How about how you would deal with other of the internal problems that Israel has? Currently, we're dealing with the issue of the draft for everyone, and this is something that is really dividing the country. It seems to me the job of the president is to bring people together, but boy, are people really digging in on each side. How do you think you could speak to everyone to bring people together?
Okay. This is exactly what I am. I can speak to everybody because I do not represent one fraction of the society. I'm not a member of any party, and I look only for the uniting factors in the Israeli society, and there are many of these. There are many things, there are many issues in which the government has a key role. The government has a great job in promoting its agenda and dealing with the difficulties. I don't have to talk about any difficulty that the government deals with. I do not have to talk about the draft that you were talking about. I do not have to talk about political negotiations with the Palestinians. We have a good government. They deal with it, and they do their best for the best of the country. The president of the country doesn't have to talk about everything.
Mm-hmm. So, if you become president, what other goals do you have in mind to help bring the country into the next 10, 15, 20 years?
Right. Well, there are several things that we need to do. Number one is education. We need to improve our education system. We need to not only to teach, but also to make young people a mensch, a good human being. Mm-hmm. And this is what is called in Hebrew chinuch, which is different from haskala. It's making a good human being, and we should have a good program to do that, starting maybe in the kindergarten and ending at the age of 18. And, as you know, there is a free education in Israel from the age 3 to the age of 18. So we need to do that. This is number one, and I talk about it now with the Minister of Education. We negotiate it, and hopefully I will be able, from that position of presidency, I will be able to move better in that direction. This is number one. Number two, we have a problem of young people, young educated people, that cannot find jobs in Israel after they went for their postdocs or other such missions in the world. They want to come back, and they do not have a position here because the number of positions in universities is limited. So the country should not neglect these people. This is the greatest treasure that we have, the Israeli mind. We should bring them back, and we should build facility to host them back. And I have a plan to promote a building of 2 large civilian research centers, one in the north in the Galilee and one in the south in the Negev. And the one in the north will deal with biotechnology because there's a lot of expertise in the north in biotechnology. And it will be based on a branch of one university, maybe the Technion, because the Technion is in the north, that will build a faculty of biotechnology right there. And around it, a large, well-invested government laboratory, and around that, incubators, and around that, industries. And this will provide jobs not only for the minds that will return, but to thousands upon thousands of people who live in that area. In the south, we have expertise in growing food in the desert. We are very good at it. We know how to deal with water. Drip irrigation is just one system. We develop new types of vegetables that can not only grow in the south, but can benefit from the heat there. We are expert in that, and we can market that expertise to the world. Again, a branch of university, maybe Ben-Gurion University, who is in the Negev and has expertise in that. Around it, a good, large civilian research center, and around that, incubators and industries. This will also bring multitude of people, multitude of brains from around the world to find a job in Israel and to come back. This is a treasure. The minds of the people is a treasure. We cannot allow them to stay abroad if they want to come back. We should lure them to come back. We should offer them good position. This is as important as a defense system because this is our future.
I think that is a very important way to look at it, and it really is a problem that Israel has been suffering from. And I certainly wish you the best of luck in building that and in all of the goals that you have as the next president of Israel. We've been talking with Dan Shechtman. Danny, in the last few seconds, just tell us, how can people keep track of you and your campaign?
Say it again, please. Ask again.
How can people keep track of what you're doing and your campaign?
Oh, yes. Well, if they go to the internet, then they will find how to track me. There are several ways to do that, and it's easy to find. Just put my name, and you will find many ways to track what we have. And we put on the internet daily news about my program.
Okay, we will put a link to that at the show notes of goldsteinongelt.com to make it easy for people to find. Professor Dan Shechtman, good luck, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Doug.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt Show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.